Good morning. Thank you all for joining. We will get started in just a moment once we clear the waiting room. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are providing testimony before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you very much. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly if you plan to provide testimony this morning. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. All testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling Ulivo LLC, doing business as Cunard Tavern, located at 24 Orleans Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, August 30th, 2024. Overly intoxicated employee, manager, and a possible drugging in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 138, Section 69. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department? Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Philip Federoli, owner.
Thank you, Mr. Federoli. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Lapolis is here. The other officer is tied up in court, but I think Sergeant Lapolis is having a little technical difficulty. So Lieutenant Detective Troy, if necessary.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. I'm not sure I see the sergeant, so thank you for that. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Detective Troy. Could you please read the police report into the record for the board?
Sergeant Lapolis is on this call. He just notified me that his microphone isn't working. It should be, I think it's under Jeffrey's phone. Nevertheless, reading a report by Officer Hogan on August 30th, 2024 reads as follows. About 1 a.m. on August 30th, 2004, Officer Hogan responded to a radio call for an unconscious female located at the Cunard Tavern, East Boston, Massachusetts. On arrival, Officer Hogan observed a white blonde female leaning into the passenger seat of a mass-registered vehicle. Officer Hogan was approached by Sarah Grace Richardson, a friend, who said that she had got a call from her friend stating that her friend Sarah Davy was the manager of the above location. The victim had been observed drinking only once and appeared to have possibly been drugged. Officer Hogan called for Boston EMS to evaluate the victim at the above location. The victim's friend and co-worker, Alison Govan, approached Officer Hogan and stated the following. Ms. Govan stated that she and the victim had been hanging out on the rooftop portion of the above location. Ms. Govan further stated that the victim had seen a small group of 5 white and black males in their 20s who she recognized. Ms. Govan further stated that the males had one drink with the victim, and after a little while, Ms. Govan noticed that the victim appeared intoxicated, but was confused because the victim only had one drink. This caused Ms. Govan to believe that something was wrong and that the victim might have possibly been drugged. Ms. Govan stated that the group of 5 males attempted to put the victim in an Uber, which she found very suspicious, as she felt the males were now following her and the victim following her and the victim when she tried to take the victim away from them. Ms. Govan stated that she got the victim into her car when Sarah Richardson came and the police arrived on scene. Ambulance 27 responded to the above location, evaluated the victim, and deemed her fit to refuse EMS services. Alison Govan took the victim back to Ms. Govan's house in Dorchester, where she could rest for the night. Due to the nature of the incident, Sergeant Lapolis responded to the above location to conduct a licensed premise inspection. It should be noted that there were multiple MARC units with their emergency lights activated with Ms. Govan and the victim, who were both managers and employees of the above location and directly outside that location. Officers and Sergeant Lapolis attempted to open the door when the bar manager, Mr. Joseph Camilo, refused to open the establishment's front door for officers and Sergeant Lapolis. Mr. Camilo kept stating, "I didn't do anything, I know my rights." Sergeant Lapolis explained to the manager that he was conducting a Code 35 and Mr. Camilo refused to open the front door. It should be noted that Mr. Camilo appeared to be having trouble forming sentences and focusing while speaking to officers. It should also be noted that while attempting to lock a window in the front of the above location, Mr. Camilo had trouble keeping his balance and stumbled onto the sidewalk, causing officers to gain entering. It appeared that Mr. Camilo, due to his speech and actions, was under the influence of alcohol. After much reason and de-escalation, Sergeant Lapolis was successfully able to issue a Code 35 for overly intoxicated patron, possible drugging. That's the extent of the police report.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. Mr. Federal, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say, but I'm embarrassed and ashamed that this happened with two of my employees that were trusted in roles of leadership. Neither one of them are with our company anymore, terminated for their actions that night, and this will never happen again.
Thank you. If there is nothing further from you, we will turn to see if there are any questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
Mr. Federelli, did you do any sort of internal investigation based upon the alleged drugging?
Yeah, I mean, I think the alleged drugging was just a way for her and her coworkers to cover her behavior that night. She and when asked if we need to follow up, and the police were wanted to follow up with the people, because these 5 men were friends of hers from out of town, who came to visit her at work, and you know, the allegation that she had one drink was definitely not accurate. She definitely, we didn't think it was a credible allegation that there was a drugging involved. It was just a series of bad decisions by somebody who was trusted not to make bad decisions.
Okay, do you guys have video at this?
Yeah, we have a system, but it was down. Sometimes it overheats, and that August night, the control room overheated and it wasn't recording.
Okay. So was she working that night?
Yeah.
So these were 2 employees that were working, both appeared intoxicated. In your testimony today, is that her story about the drugging was to cover for her behavior, and she knew this group of 5 people?
Yeah, they were friends from out of state who came to visit her in Boston, and then she decided to, have a party.
Okay, one of my concerns is about your video cameras overheating. I think you should look into that. Sometimes the video can also be helpful to the licensee to determine exactly how much and what was consumed. So putting you on notice that you should rectify that situation is helpful to the board.
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
What was the story with the other employee, Joseph Camilo?
He apparently had a few drinks as he was closing the bar, and again, sure that that kind of behavior is not tolerated, and he's no longer with us.
And what was his title and duties and responsibilities on that night?
He was like a head bartender for us. So his responsibility was to close the restaurant, especially since Sarah was not in a state to do it, and obviously failed to be in a state to do that.
And How many other staff did you have on that night? Specifically, did you have any security?
No, we typically it's typically a restaurant. We don't really have security. We had some issues in years past with fallout from the tall ship, and when that closed, people would try to kind of rush into the restaurant, but that's subsided. So we really don't have a door person. Um, and this really wasn't an issue that would have shown a need for it. It was just a series of bad decisions on the people who were in charge that night.
So what was the rest of your staffing in there, and what's your capacity? Sorry.
I don't have the number right in front of me. I think it's 66 on the first floor and 30 on the roof. But at 1 o'clock in the morning, there was probably just Mr. Camiolo and 2 other people.
Including Davy?
Yeah, she was scheduled to close that night. Correct. She was the manager on duty.
She was one of 3 people that were working at that moment.
Scheduled to work. She had, I guess, had to go home. She was obviously in no condition, but she was scheduled to be the manager that night.
And at this time, was the first floor and the roof are clearly separated, right?
Yeah, the roof obviously, because it's an outdoor space, is and we follow the rules, so we have to have it cleared by 11 o'clock, and most nights it's cleared by 10. So yeah, this is all, the later portion of the evening was all on the first floor, the main floor.
Did you have more staff on while the roof was open and they were relieved of duty?
Yeah, typically we'll have a bartender who will close up and then clean up, and then they'll be out of there by 11 o'clock.
Okay, and Miss Davy, was she serving herself, or was your bartender she said she was on the roof. Was she serving herself, or was that bartender serving her?
Apparently she went behind the bar and was pouring her own drinks, and when asked by the bartender, said, "I'm your effing boss. I can do whatever I want." So
okay. Thank you for that. I think that's what I was trying to figure out. Thank you.
How long is how long have you known that your camera has been overheating?
it's an ongoing issue we have in the room. It just, sometimes it overheats and we have to reset it. So it's usually based on the temperature, and it's hard to predict, but about 1 out of 4 times we'll find that it's down.
This has been over the past 1 year, 2 years?
The last year, I'd say.
Any further questions from the board? Board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 2, Adair Inc., doing business as Ned Divines, located at 2201 Faneuil Hall Marketplace. Date of the incident, September 26th, 2024. Possible drugging in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Sergeant Detective Luke Taxter, District 1.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective Taxter. Who is present on behalf of Ned Divines? Do we have anybody on with us on behalf of Ned Divines?
Mr. Green, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it's Dennis Quilty. I represented the overall licensee on a number of hearings. I did not know they were on today. I didn't reach out. I didn't realize they were on. I'm wondering, is it at this late date, is it possible to get a continuance? I know they would not intentionally miss a hearing. This is part of the Austin O'Connor's various licensees, and as I suggested, I've done all their LPV work for years. I wasn't notified about this one by them, and I missed seeing it on the agenda here. So I can only imagine they may have, not realized they were on today.
We do have a signed hand-delivered notice dated December 27th. Chairman Joyce, what would you like to do?
I don't think we can go forward without the licensee. We'll have to reschedule.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will be deferred to a later hearing date.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling item number 3, ZAAKFL LLC, doing business as Biliaris Columbia, located at 28 Bennington Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, July 8th, 2024, assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
It's going to be Officer Crespo.
Thank you, Officer Crespo. Is there anybody with us on behalf of Biliaris Columbia? Signed notice of hearing, hand delivered, dated January 1st, 2025. Chairman Joseph, let's take a second call, see if we can reach the licensee.
Detective Samaras is also present for this hearing.
Thank you, Detective Samaras. We will take a second call and try to get the licensee on the line with us. Calling item number 4, Goosebin LLC, doing business as Medallo, located at 411 Chelsea Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, September 1st, 2024, assault and battery, patron on employee, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Luis Maldonado.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Alfred James.
Thank you, Detective James. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you both please raise your right hand? Mr. Maldonado, can you please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Detective James. Could you please read the police report into the record for the board?
Yes, sir. At about 3:15 a.m. on Sunday, September 1st, 2024, officer responded to a radio call for assault and battery report at 10 Gold Street. Upon arrival, Officer Vellante spoke to the victim, Lady Maria Camila Vega Osaro, who was at the East Boston Neighborhood Health Center getting treated for a visible face injury, swollen and bruised right eye, and a minor laceration to the right eyelid. The victim was very distressed and crying while she was speaking to the officer. Miss Vega Osaro told Officer Vellante she was working at Bedala Bar in East Boston early in the night, around 12:30 a.m., when she was attacked by a female customer. According to Miss Vega Osaro, she was working waiting tables at the bar when she was accidentally got around a female suspect. Miss Vega Osaro said she apologized to the suspect, who got upset and threw some beer on her. Miss Vega Osaro walked away, cleaned herself, and let it go. Miss Vega Osaro said around 1:40 a.m. while she was walking around the table inside my bar, she passed by a table where Sucks was sitting with a group of friends. When she said somebody hitting her in the face. The victim attempted to block the punch with her arm, and she could not distinguish if she was hit by a face or an object, possibly a bottle. The victim knew that it was the same female who threw the beer at her earlier. The victim said that one of her coworkers told her the female suspect said she was going to wait for her outside and grab her by the hair. Ms. Vega Osaro described the suspect as a Hispanic female, 25 to 35 years old, medium, dark skin, medium build, black curly hair, medium length, wearing a white blouse and light blue jeans. Ms. Vega said that after the attack, the security guards at the establishment separated the suspect from the victim. No one called the police to report the incident, and no one called to request medical attention for the victim. The suspect left, and the victim was taken to the hospital by one of her friends. Second report. About 1:45 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st, 2024, Officer Rodriguez, assigned to the district front desk, spoke with a walk-in victim, Maria Camila Vega Osaro. Victim Vega Osaro came in to include information in the previous written report on September 1st, 2024 at 3:13 a.m. Jacqueline, a frequent customer from her workplace, notified victim at 6:18 a.m. on Sunday 9, September 1st, through WhatsApp that she knew the female who had attacked her at her workplace. She then sent the victim a photo and the female's Facebook page. The suspect was identified as Dela Casquillo, The victim stated that she could recognize a female in the photo from the incident initially occurred at Medallia Bar. The victim also stated that the employee who had seen the incident was a security guard named Gabrielle, who works for the bar. Gabrielle also confirmed that a photo sent of the suspect was in fact a female who had hit her earlier that morning at the bar. Detective workers have photographed the victim face and injuries. Detective Varner, Gold 818, responding to photos. Another report. On September 7th, Detective James investigated saw that place in a bar located Harv Street in East Boston. In the original report, Detective James saw that police officers spoke to the victim, Maria Camila Vega Osaro, at the East Boston Neighborhood Health Center, getting treated for visible in a swollen, bruised eye, right eye, and a minor laceration to the right eyelid. The victim was very distressed and crying while she was speaking to the officer. Miss Vega told the officer that she was working at a bar early that and around about 12:30 a.m. when a female customer attacked her. According to Miss Vega, she was working waiting tables at the bar when she was accident got around the female suspect, Miss Vera Sara said she apologized to the suspect who got upset and threw some beverage at her. Miss Vera Sara walked away and cleaned herself and let it go. Miss Vera Sara said around 1 foot and while she was walking around the inside of the bar, she was past the table where the suspect was sitting with a group of friends when she felt someone hitting her in the face. The victim attempted to block the punch with her arm and she could not distinguish if it were hit by a fist or an object, possible bottle. The victim knew it was the same fuel through the bar their beer at her. The victim said that one of the co-workers told her that the suspect told her that the suspect said she was going to wait for us and grab her by her hair. Ms. Vera described the suspect as a 25 to 35-year-old Hispanic female with medium dark skin, a medium build, medium length black curly hair. She was wearing a white blouse and light blue jeans. Ms. Vera stated that said after that, the security guard stopped and separated the suspect, and no one called to report. No police to report the incident. No one called to request medical attention for the victim. The suspect left, and the bill was taken off by one of her friends. Later that day, the victim came to the stand and spoke to police officer Rodriguez, who was assigned the front desk. The victim, Vega Zara, stated that she received information that a dynamic female who attacked her. The victim said the female, Jacqueline, a frequent customer of her workplace, notified the victim at 6 p.m. Sunday, 9/1/2024 through WhatsApp that she knew the female who had attacked her at the workplace. Said the victim of the photo, she sent the victim a photo at a female's Facebook page. The suspect was identified De La Casquillo. The victim said she could recognize the female photo from the incident initially occurred at the bar. The victim stated a female who had been seen the incident was a security guard named Gabriel who worked for the bar. Gabriel was confirmed that a photo sent to the suspect was in fact a female who had hit her early in the morning. Detective James, with the help of Detective Espino, was able to get a video of the incident. Detective watched the video and saw the victim, Vega Sir, and another female walked up to the group and started talking to the female. The female that was being spoken put her hand into the victim, Vega Asara's face. Vega Asara pushed her hand out of it, and that's when a second female, identified as De La Casquillo, then attacked the victim, Vega Asara. A security guard tried to separate them, and the suspect, Vega Asara, punched the victim in her face. Detective James will file in the East Boston District Court against De La Casquillo for assault and battery. That's it, sir.
Thank you very much, Detective. Mr. Maldonado, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes. So, first I happened with my employees in my business. First experience I have, and then, honest with you, I was there, and in that moment, I don't see everything because that accident happened all the way to the back to my business. But I will explain to you. I will let you guys know how the accident happens. My employee Camila, around 12:14, we have an employee birthday party. So around 12:14 12:40, no, 12:14, I'm sorry. We celebrate the other employee birthday. So the employee birthday have a champagne, and she opened the champagne and she drank the champagne, and she put the bottle of champagne on the table. And Maria, she took the champagne bottle and then she shaved the champagne, and then she spilled these two ladies who got the problem. Where did that problem come from? I was there, and then I told my employee in that moment, I was Maria, don't do that. That can happen any problems in the business. You spray everywhere the champagne. That's not right what you just did. So the other two ladies that she dropped she have a plastic beer. She dropped the beer to myself. All my face get wet. So Maria, she don't get anything wet. In that moment, I told Maria again, please don't do it again. So in that time, that happens, and then I clean a little bit in that moment in that table, my face, everything around my face, I clean a little bit, and then when I go into the bathroom and clean again, I send one of my security, his name is Gabriel, to mop the floor, but the floor was get wet. So in that moment, everything is fine, nothing happens around 12:14. So when in that moment, I don't see anything else. I just told Maria, please don't do it again. That's what you just did. That's not right. So back to normal, back to the party, back to how normal we're working. So, but I don't see one thing. When I go into the bathroom, when Maria go away, my employee, Maria go away, I don't know how to say that word in English, but maybe I have this him, he can help me in that. So because she flipped them off to the customer. So when she flipped them off, I don't know anything about it. And then Maria never told me anything what she did to the customers. So everything is to there. That's the one issue. The other issue, when I turned the lights on, like around 1:45, I told Maria, let's go home. And what she did, that's that she grabbed one of those customers, what is in the other side, and then she said something to her and go on front her the other group to ask for something. I don't know why she don't ask myself. I'm in charge of my security guys. She decided to take the wrong person. If she don't do that, definitely there's no issues coming up, no problems at all, because I was really serious about my staff. So when Maria get hurt, I was all set. We bring ice to her and we sit down her right away, and then we waiting. That happens really quickly, like less than 1 minute. She get hurt, and then my security, Gabriel, he was there. He was right there in the middle. I always, when everybody started leaving, I got one security in the back and the other one in the middle and the other one outside. So I got 3 securities. So in that moment, I was like, when I saw Maria coming to see what happened, Maria, I said, "What happened? You okay?" No, she heard me. I was really so sad. I was going to tell Gabriel, when Gabriel grabbed her, and then she kicked him out. When she kicked her, when Gabriel, my security, kicked her out, I go outside and then I tell her, "Why you hurt my employee?" And when that's not the girl who hurt her, but she's friend next to her. There's two women there. So when I was outside, I say to her, "Why you hurt my employee?" And then she said to me, she did something inside. She flipped them off, and then I don't like it. And she looked me weird all the time when she stepped by me. But that's the issues come from.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Anything further before we move to questions from the board? Okay, we'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks. So you're saying that there was 3 security working that night?
Yes.
At any time, did you consider calling the police based upon the employee being punched in the face?
Great question. I asked Maria at that moment. When that happened really quickly, we take that really serious, that we kick him out. But what happened is this, right? I told Maria that she been waiting there. Maria, we will do something, but we gotta figure it out with this guy what happened. That she was waiting hours. I say, you know what? Don't worry. I gotta call the police right away. And then she left. The 2 ladies left. But she was kind of mad because what she did, what my employee did to her. And then I asked Maria when I go inside, I'm not sure. Maria, do you flip them off fingers? She said, yes, what? Yes, why you did that? That's not right, Maria. What is this? See what happened? You get hurt. That's why come from that problem. So that's why the issue. And the next day on Sunday, I'm being almost all day, watch all cameras. I take a look, all cameras, it is the truth. And then it is the truth, but all the things happening inside the business.
Okay, I do appreciate all the video that you submitted. It is very helpful. However, as a manager of record, you should really think through your policy about when you call the police. You should have called the police in this situation, even though the victim left and it sounds like the suspect left and I think the victim left shortly thereafter. You witnessed an assault taking place. The police should have been called.
Okay.
Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions or comments?
Just that I agree with the chair's statement. You know, if you have been written up for failure to call the police, you may have had an issue, but I appreciate your explanation of the actual assault. So I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just from what I've heard, you know, even when you got the beer in your face, I think, you know, that would have been the time to like end all celebration. So, you know, when those kinds of things are happening, at that point, it's foreseeable that something else could happen after that. So
I keep the eyes. Now I know how it is. I'm just like first experience my employees. So that's the experience. That's how I learn business. And then again, I keep the eyes, and then I take really serious things around the business because you know what I mean. The importance to get my employees safe. First time happened, and again, I'm so sad about what happened to her. But at the same time, sometimes employees take bad decisions. But again, that's how it is. She left. She don't answer to me anymore. The phone, my phone, text, stuff like that. So sad, but it is what it is.
Thank you for that, Mr. Maldonado. Are there any other questions from the board at this time? Board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Calling item number 5, Tremont 958 Corporation, doing business as Slade's Bar and Grill, located at 958 Tremont Street in Mission Hill. Date of the incident, September 22nd, 2024. Failure to disperse, large crowd at bar let out, excessive noise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and expired licenses in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.02B. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Just looking to see when this was hand served. I don't have that in the folder. Is anybody present on behalf of Slade's? We will contact the licensee and take a second call. Calling item number 6, Courtyard Management LLC, doing business as Courtyard Boston Downtown, located at 275 Tremont Street. Date of the incident, October 14th, 2024 and November 11th, 2024. Refusal to cooperate with Boston Police in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.10A and B, and refusal to identify oneself to Boston Police in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.10A and B. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Ryan Oak from VP&E Parking, the valet provider.
And this is Mike. I'm the general manager of the hotel working for Marriott International.
Great. Thank you both for being with us. Mr. Canini, is it possible to turn your camera on so we can swear you in if you're providing testimony? Just asked you to start video. In the meantime, I will ask who's present on behalf of, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Canini. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, and is BO Matt Entwistle here. He wrote the original report. Is he on? If not, I'll read his.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective Hernandez, if needed.
Great. Thank you. And I do not see Officer Entwistle with us, so I think it'll be you, Sergeant Gallagher. Can you all please raise your right hand?
Yep.
Mr. Oak, can you raise your right hand as well? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please read the report into the record for the board.
Yes, I'll be reading a Boston Police incident report written by PO Matt Entwistle. At about 2:40 a.m. on Sunday, November 11th, 2004, officers Entwistle and Rooney assigned to the Alpha Care 1 conducted a motor vehicle stop at 275 Tremont Street, Boston. Officers were blocking Tremont and Stewart Street, so no vehicle travel could travel south towards Oak Street in order to clear the gridlock traffic that occurs on weekend basis and bar break in the downtown area. The vehicle snuck behind officers' cruiser and traveled down Tremont. At this time, officers conduct a motor vehicle stop in the front of 275 Tremont Street, which is the Courtyard Marriott. Officers gave the operator a warning, conducted themselves in a professional manner. The operator was released from the stop. During the time of the traffic stop, Officer Entwistle was positioned on the right side of the vehicle, closest to the Courtyard Marriott Hotel. During his interaction with occupants, alleged Courtyard Marriott employee, believed to be the valet, began yelling at officers during the investigation. Officers could hear the male yelling, "Look at these dudes. They're not even doing anything. And look at that car right there. Stop harassing them and go get the other guy." The statement briefly took officers' attention away from the investigation into the traffic stop. He continued to harass and taunt officers on scene. Upon conclusion of the traffic stop, Officer Entwistle approached the male and asked if he had an issue with any of us. The male stated, "I'm not talking to you." I asked the male what his name is, and he refused to cooperate. At that time, Officer Entwistle and Rooney entered the Courtyard Marriott and briefly spoke to the front desk manager, Renee Dunphy, and advised her of the incident. Additionally, on October 14th, 2024, Boston Police Incident Report, the last four is 7451, officers were investigating the confirmed shots fired call, which included a foot chase, recovery of a firearm, recovered shell casings, and a crime scene from Tremont Street and Stewart Street to Tremont and Oak. During the time, officers had placed Boston Police yellow crime scene tape up around the area, block off the street. With unmarked detective cruisers and marked patrolman cruisers located at 275 Tremont Street, when Officer Rooney and Entwistle arrived on scene a second time after investigating potential victims just at the end of the road, the male yelled at officers, stating, "Move your fucking cruisers, you're in my valet spot." At first, officers thought this was in a joking manner. Multiple others on scene stated he had been taunting and harassing them all night about cruisers parked in front of the hotel. The male refused to identify himself during both incidents. He's described as a heavy-set black male, medium-rated black hair, about 6 feet tall. Patrol supervisors notified of disturbances. The second report's mine. It reads as follows. On 11/19/2024, at about 10 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to licensed premise unit, responded to the Courtyard Marriott, 275 Tremont, speak to staff about an incident that occurred on 11/11/2024 at 2:40 a.m. Detectives were informed by Lieutenant Detective Stanley Demesman that Area A1 officers conducted a motor vehicle stop in front of the Courtyard Marriott when the hotel's valet interjected himself into the traffic stop, taunting and harassing officers. After the traffic stop was conducted, officers approached the valet and asked him his name. The male refused to identify himself. Officers proceeded inside and spoke to the Marriott manager, Renee Dunphy, informing her of the incident. This interaction was put into a Boston Police Incident Report 242-097-554 by P.O. Entwistle. Lieutenant Demesman also informed Sergeant Detective Gallagher that this time the male valet had another incident with BPD on 10/14. That one is 242-028-7451, where he taunted and harassed officers that were processing a crime scene in front of the hotel. During the incident, the same male identified himself as a valet. On the evening of the 19th, Sergeant Detective Gallagher, Detective Hernandez spoke with the night manager, Mr. Jeff Cassis, who was unaware of the incident. As a result of these incidents, Sergeant Gallagher issued a licensed premise inspection notice number 017-916 to the Courtyard Marriott for employee refusal to cooperate with BPD and refusal to identify himself. Expired valet permit posted, expired back on 6/30/2024. No posted inspectional services certificate. Mr. Jeff Casillas signed for and accepted the notice. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Oak, Mr. Canini, would you like to address the alleged incidents?
So before Ryan, Mr. Oak, talks, I am a representative of Marriott here. We entrust our valet services to a third party, which Mr. Oak is the vice president of Valet Parking of New England, VP&E. I just want to apologize to all the officers on the phone here. This is not something typical of Marriott, but we entrust everything into VP&E, and that is a reflection of us. Rectifications on the property have been made. All signs, permits are posted. We were in good standing. They just were not posted. And I apologize for that. I will turn it over to Ryan now.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, just to echo that, obviously, I apologize to all BPD, all board members on here. This is not how you deserve to be treated or spend your time. It's completely unnecessary. This employee was an overnight employee who, unfortunately, they work by themselves. So we were not aware of it until I spoke with Mike. I think it was like the day after, 2 days after that. He informed me of what had happened. So myself and his immediate supervisor obviously took immediate action. He was removed from the property, no longer works there. And then we took it upon ourselves to go ahead and just meet with the entire staff. And we met with all of our managers across our entire hotel division in the city of Boston to make them aware that our employees, A, need to cooperate with BPD or BTD anytime they show up for inspections, if they have to use the valet lane for a traffic stop, whatever it is. That's out of our hands. They're allowed to do that. We don't interfere. We let them do their business. We showed them where the permit is posted. So if they're asked to, show the permit, they can bring the officer in or the BTD rep in and show them where that is. And that's the message that's been spread across our entire hotel team. So moving forward, this should not be an issue. And I apologize that it was. It is not a reflection of how VP&E wants to be known or operate. So we have done everything we can to rectify this and ensure it's not going to happen moving forward.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll see if there are any questions from the board. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
Yes, for the Marriott, when did you become aware of this for the first time? It seems like this has happened multiple times before you had a conversation with VP&E or the employee.
So my first manager went directly to the VP&E manager and did not make me personally aware of this. I was made aware after the second incident. My director of loss prevention, who has a very good relationship with the BPD, he's an ex-officer himself, let me know, and that's when Ryan and I got involved.
So what's the policy? I'm just confused. So Marriott did not notify anyone internally until when?
I'm not understanding the question here. I'm sorry.
Okay, who's responsible for the relationship between the valet and the Marriott?
That would be Ryan, and actually my ownership, but it would be myself.
Okay, so it sounds like 3 times there was a valet employee who was interfering with Boston Police doing their job. And when did you become aware of it?
After the November incident.
There's 2 November incidents. November 11th, November 19th. There's an October incident. Did you?
I don't recall which incident, to be honest, Miss Joyce. I do recall it was in November that Ryan and I had our initial conversation.
Okay, so in that
Jeff Casillas is the one who informed me of it. So whichever incident that was.
So it sounds like the desk manager, what did she do when she found out about?
She went to the on-property valet manager with VP&E.
Okay. And then was there any internal reports written?
There was not.
Was there any internal report written by VP&E? About the interaction?
Yeah, just I wouldn't necessarily call it a report, just kind of an email between us and HR to make them aware of the employee's actions and the results of it.
And did anyone talk to, this was in October?
No, I was never made aware of the October incident until the November incident occurred. I didn't know about the October one.
Okay, so what have you done since then internally to make sure that these things are dealt with in real time and not a month later? I think if this was appropriately dealt with in October, we wouldn't have had 2 incidents in November.
Me personally, I was never aware of the October incident until I read the November police report, which mentioned it. I don't know I don't know how the reporting went down from the October incident. I don't know, honestly.
So question for either one of you, what have you done differently what have you done since then to make sure that these reports get dealt with at an appropriate time?
So I've spoken personally with all of my front desk managers that work through the evening and the overnight shift there to let me know that if they receive anything from the BPD, it comes to me directly with a copy to our director of finance because he handles all the licenses and permits. And then I believe Mr. Oak said from his side, he met with every valet, not only at this hotel, but every hotel that VP&E operates at.
Okay.
I don't want to quote you, Ryan, but I think that's what you said.
Yes, yeah, we did. We had a meeting on December 17th with our entire hotel team to address this.
Okay. And all the other certificates are up to date, or they were up to date at the time, they just weren't posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
In the third-party contract with VPNE, is it memorialized your expectations regarding the third-party employees' duties to cooperate with police?
I would have to check our contract. I'm not sure if that is specifically called out. It's a standard contract that we get from Marriott Corporate that VP&E and the Marriott utilize there, but it is definitely something I can look into, Mr. Curran.
Yeah, I would like to know if
Sure.
if you didn't, I think you should consider that. When does Marriott control any training of third-party employees at all?
No.
All right, VPNE then, what training do you do with your employees regarding their a valet working for a licensee in the city of Boston regarding their duties to cooperate with police?
So when they are first hired, they go through, our new hire orientation, which on the hotel side of things does include this. We do talk to them about the fact that we get site visits from BTD, we get BPD, so here it's a more common occurrence, right? On Tremont Street after the bars are getting out and all that stuff. It's a common area where you have a big backup. The police are there to help traffic. Historically,
let me stop you there. You're saying you do have training that touches on this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
This employee received that training?
Yes.
Do you have anything to memorialize that he acknowledged this training?
Just from signing off on attending it and being paid for it, I would imagine it's on record somewhere. I don't physically do that. Our HR department does, but yes, I would imagine that's there.
You could get, if you could get us what that training entailed and documentation, evidence that it actually happened with this employee, that could be helpful.
Okay.
If I don't see that, I don't know how I would feel about, your testimony that it happened. I'd like to see some documentation. So
okay.
That's all I would have regarding this. Thank you.
I would also just double check your third-party contract. If there's a clause about reporting, because cooperation or lack of cooperation was a problem, but it also seemed like reporting was a problem. You could have handled it as Commissioner Joyce, Chairman Joyce said that you could have handled it in October. So just double check your contract and see what's there, and if it's not, I would recommend amending it so that it's clear.
Agreed.
For any further questions from the board at this time? There was a request from Commissioner Curran for any documentation of the employee training. Anything further requested from the board at this time? Great. Please do provide that when you're able to licensingboard@boston.gov. We'll make sure to share with the commissioners. And with that, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 7, Bar Taco Fenway LLC, doing business as Bar Taco, located at 1321 Boylston Street. The date of the incident was November 21st, 2024. Persons under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise in violation of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 138, Sections 34A, 34C, and 6464A. who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. With us this morning from the Bartaco operation, Kevin Geary, the general manager, who was present on the night in question, Elisa Pablo, who's a regional director, Kelsey Kneas, who is a licensing, in charge of licensing for the licensee, and Levi Martin, who's the chief financial officer for Bartaco Corporate. These people need not all testify, but they wanted to be here to hear and take part in this hearing if required. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Attorney Quilty. I see 3 out of the 4 on my screen. I do not see Ms. Knees. If you are planning on testifying, please do turn on your camera. There we go. Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, you may please proceed for the board.
Good morning. I'm going to read from police report, which I wrote on Thursday, November 21st, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license premise unit conducted a license premise inspection of Bartaco. As detectives walked into the establishment, detectives noticed 10 patrons with alcoholic beverages on the table. Detectives noticed that these patrons looked young. Detectives asked them to produce an identification to confirm their ages. The patrons immediately stated they were under 21 years of age and provided detectives their driver's licenses. They also provided the fraudulent driver's license they had used to obtain the beverages. The fraudulent driver's licenses were confiscated by detectives. The individuals with fraudulent driver's license will be summoned to court for persons under 21 plus of alcohol and false misuse of an R&B document. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Kevin Geary. As a result of what the detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 017918 for persons under 21 plus of alcohol on premise. Mr. Geary signed for an accepted notice. That's all.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
If I may, if I could just ask Detective Hernandez a couple of questions. Thank you. Morning, Detective. How are you doing today? Was Mr. Geary cooperative with you?
Extremely.
He's the gentleman who's here with us this morning.
Yes, sir.
Did he indicate to you that certain of these individuals were not that had no beverages in front of them? In other words, that some of them were, having soft drinks or things of that nature?
There were beverages all over the table, sir. They were all moved around. So.
Okay. And this was possession, not service?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did Mr. Geary explain to you that his staff had carded these people?
Yes, sir.
And it appears as though some, if not all of these identifications were false. Is that correct?
All more, sir.
Okay. And you confiscated all of those?
Yes, sir.
In that context, did you have an occasion to go back after this incident and review procedures with Mr. Geary?
We have not, no, sir.
Sir, I have.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. He indicated that he's okay. I'm sorry. Gallagher, Sergeant Detective, you went back subsequently and had interaction with Mr. Geary?
I have.
And was he cooperative in that respect?
Yes, sir, he was. They had actually taken some IDs from some youthful-looking patrons prior to my entry, and we just missed a couple. They seem to have picked up their game a little bit, and we applaud that.
Okay, thank you. Did he indicate to you that as a result of this incident, they have changed their procedures vis-a-vis ID check on tables of this size or groups of people?
Yes, he instructed. Well, he told me that he instructed his staff that if they have questions with the IDs, that they had take them to him or any other manager there, and there'd be the final approval.
So the manager would oversee the server in that regard.
Correct.
Okay. So you found him to be cooperative, and they were doing the right thing when you were there that second visit?
Correct.
It appeared. Okay. And have you any issues with this establishment in the past?
No, it's a new establishment, sir, and no prior incidents.
Okay. Thank you, Sergeant Detective. Appreciate your time.
Sure.
If I could just quickly introduce Mr. Geary. Mr. Green, is that appropriate?
It sure is.
Mr. Geary, you've been sworn. Just state your name for the record and what your responsibilities are at this establishment.
I have.
Your name.
Kevin Gary,
Okay.
General Manager of Bar Taco in Fenway.
Thank you. And you're the person who interacted with the detectives on the night in question.
I did.
Okay. And is it your testimony, or would it be your testimony that your people did check for IDs at this table?
They did.
Okay. And you now know that these identifications were false.
I do.
And as a result of this incident, what changes have you made in regard to checking IDs in the future?
Just much more vigilant that the officer has brought that IDs have changed. A lot of them are just very good counterfeits. So we're much more vigilant about double checking, and my manager checks any large parties, any tables that are mixed, as far as ages, to ensure that only people with real IDs are being served.
And on the night, for example, when Sergeant Detective Gallagher came back, you had confiscated IDs that very night. Is that correct?
We did, yeah. We've confiscated about 28 IDs since Officer Gallagher had been there last.
Okay. So you're now taking a much more proactive stance with regard to ID checking, confiscating if you have any questions, et cetera.
Absolutely.
And have you retrained your staff in this regard?
We have, yes. All our bartenders and anyone that runs alcoholic beverages in our restaurant are now tip certified.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Geary. The commissioners may have some questions for you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I actually have some questions for the detective. Were these fake IDs Massachusetts IDs?
No, they were from all over the country, man.
Okay, and how old were these people?
I believe 19, 20. Well, the group were between 19 and 20. Looked very young. That's why we actually focused on that table. It was like the youngest table in there.
Okay.
And they were right up front. As soon as we walked in, they were right there.
Okay. The testimony was that, I think it may have been Sergeant Gallagher, when he went back, he was showing them how to look for counterfeits, and I think there was someone said these fake IDs now, they're good counterfeits. Would you say that these were good counterfeits, or what did the IDs look like?
The ones where we went back, the second time we went back to serve the notice of the hearing, and we had another conversation with Mr. Geary. We had one that night. We were there for a while, and he was there that night as well, and we showed him the IDs, and they do have the, I believe, books that the ABC puts out, and we showed them what we use to scan, and he was going to explore that route too. But I believe one of the IDs in question was not actually the person using it, and that was also of concern, because you can look at the ID and say, hey, this isn't actual person, but the others they're pretty good counterfeits. They're the ones we see all over town. They come from overseas. They usually give you multiple. It's their picture. It's their name. They were basically New England states. So.
Okay. And with the law changing with these IDs, I think an additional burden on these licensees to have a better understanding of what a real ID is and isn't. I don't have any other questions at this time. Commissioner Carn or Commissioner Saxon?
Yeah, I mean, I have no questions. Thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. If I may just briefly, Madam Chair, the licensee has a good track record, not only here, which is a relatively new store, but elsewhere in the city where they operate. They are a full restaurant. They are not a club in any respect. They have retrained staff in this regard. This is, as the board knows, extremely difficult with some of these overseas licenses that are just they're very good. And it takes a lot, of work to decipher them. Even the scanners sometimes don't pick them up, but they're going to do everything humanly possible to double and triple check going forward. And we believe you will not have any further issues with this establishment. We thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board on this matter? Board will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8, EAG Tremont LLC, located at 645 to 647 Tremont Street. Date of the incident, December 7th, 2024. Blocked fire exit with a blacked out curtain in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.06a. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Svenja Hasenflug. I'm the general manager here.
Thank you. And there's another person on screen with you?
Yes, and Irakli Gogitidze. I'm the manager of the records.
Yes, thank you. On behalf of the Boston Police Department.
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Detective Hernandez if needed.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Yes, on 12/7/2024 at 10:50 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to licensed premise unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection of the Snuda at 647 Tremont Street. Inside the premise on the lower level, detectives observed a blackout curtain immediately behind the fire exit door. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Daniela, forgive me if I mispronounced the last name, Hasselflug, who stated that she would take corrective action and immediately remove the curtain. As a result, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued licensed premise inspection notice number 017929 to this Nuda for blocked fire exit, blackout curtain. Ms. Hasselflug signed for and accepted the notice. Behind our report, we do have 2 pictures of the curtain we saw. This was on the lower level, and it's kind of shaped up as a speakeasy. And the door opens immediately into a prep area. So in order for the premise to keep the light from coming in and ruining the atmosphere of the diners, they have this curtain immediately behind the door, and we thought it was a hazard. That's all we have.
Thank you. Ms. Hassenflug, Mr. Gogitidze, would you like to address the alleged incident?
We took down the curtain and we put a different light, so now the light is lower. That was done. The curtain was taken down immediately after the officers left, and then the light was installed the next week. So that was the action we took.
Thank you for that. We will see if there are any questions from the board at this time. Chairwoman Joyce?
So the exit sign is visible now?
Yep.
Okay. I have no questions. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran?
I have no questions. Thank you.
None for me, thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will take a second call for 2 items. Calling item number 3, ZAA KFL LLC, doing business as Biliaris Columbia, located at 28 Bennington Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, July 8th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. If you could please just state your names for the record.
Tony Pereñez.
And Laura Pereñez.
Thank you both for being with us. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Crespo.
And Detective William Samaras.
Detective Samaras, thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
There is a one of the witnesses, well, one of the alterations that happened. He's in the in there. Mr. Juan.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. If you could please just state your name for the record.
Juan Jaramillo.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jaramillo. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Officer Crespo.
Thank you, Officer Crespo. You may please proceed.
Yes. So about 5:45 p.m. on Monday, July 8th, 24, Officer Crespo, assigned to the Gold Delta 96 Frank, which is the front desk, completed an assault and battery report that occurred at 28 Bennington Street, Villaris, Columbia, East Boston. Carlos Lopez, the victim, stated that about 1:50 a.m. on Sunday, July 7th, 24, he was assaulted by Juan Fernando Jaramillo inside Villaris, Columbia, 28 Bennington Street. Lopez stated that he was in the bar with his girlfriend, Wendy Aguirre, and friends. When Aguirre's ex-partner, Juan Fernando Jaramillo, arrived at the establishment, he was directed to the bar and spent time with Lopez and Aguirre's friends. Lopez stated that at the end of the night, a verbal argument ensued between Lopez and Jaramillo because Jaramillo was charging him money for a bottle he had ordered while he was spending time there. Lopez and Aguirre stated that if they were ordering drinks at the bar and that they were not responsible for the bottle Jaramillo ordered. While Lopez and Jaramillo were having the discussion, Jaramillo headbutted him in the head, making a laceration to the upper lip. Lopez stated that after the assault, the security and the owner of the establishment separated both parties and removed Jaramillo from the bar. Lopez also mentioned that the staff and the owner did not allow them to leave the bar because they wanted to avoid any trouble or involvement with the police. Aguirre claimed that while she was inside the establishment, Jaramillo touched her hair and hips and recorded her while she was dancing without her consent. The officer informed Aguirre of her 209A rights and provided her a copy in hand. After the incident, Lopez went to the emergency room at East Boston Neighborhood Health Center and was treated by Dr. Austin McDonald. And that's the end of the police report.
I have a brief supplement to read into record, Detective Samaras.
Thank you, Detective. You may proceed.
Yes, it's very brief. On Friday, 7/12/24 at 21:30, Detective Samaras, the Gold 837, and Detective Montesino, the Gold 820, conducted a Code 35 at 28 Bennington Street, Villaris, Columbia, related to the incident on 7/7/24. Manager Alejandro Buenas and owner, in quote, Frenny, were present to receive City of Boston license premise infraction number 057531 for the patron on patron assault and battery. Detectives inquired about the video of the incident and were informed that the cameras were not working at the time of the incident due to internet issues. Detectives then provided a copy of the infraction to the Villaris staff, and that is essentially the report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peranias. Ms. Peranias, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, I would. Good morning, members of the board. On that day, the incident that happened, there was two people arguing, just arguing. There was no fights. And I also want to ask the detective, what's his name, the officer?
Detective William Samaras, sir.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got a question for you. The day you went, I met you, remember? I met you and I showed you that we were
The
doing.
day of when we served you with the license premise,
Yes.
sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Is it true that I showed you in the back that we were doing work and that's why the cameras were not working? They were doing the work in the back?
That was another occasion, not on this occasion. I do remember that, but we were out front. I remember that was sometime like the summer that happened.
It's the same. It's the same. We were doing work on the back. We were trying
That
to.
was some time ago, sir. Okay, no, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, just want to make sure that's noted there because that was just around the same time. And then the officer that took the report, I want to ask him, did you see any bleeding on the guy or anything on his lip? Because on that day, nothing happened. They were just arguing, and I said, "Hey, look, light was on. Everybody was just paying the bill." I saw two people arguing. I said, hey, no fighting. And I took Mr. Juan. I said, hey, can you just leave? He left the premises right away. There was no fights. There was no nothing. The other people stayed inside because I like to separate them. I told them, if you keep doing this, I'm just going to call the police because there was no altercation. There was never a fight. Mr. Juan, the witness, would I ask you, was there any fight in there? Mr. Juan Jaramillo?
Yeah, there was not a fight at all. We just it was just an argument over the tab, which he didn't want to cooperate with. They did have drinks out of the bottle. At the end of the night, I said, you know what, it's not even worth it. We'll pay for it. I knew he had a little grudge on me because I went out with his girlfriend, and that he had a grudge on me because of her. We did have to go to court for that. He never showed up. Detective is aware of it. Case was closed, and there was never a fight. There was nothing,
So he
never
never,
physical.
so he never went to court, nothing happened.
No, he never
Which-
showed up. He just he wanted to hurt me somehow.
Okay.
I was advised that he wanted to come back to me at one point. He wanted to make a report just in case, so that next time he saw me, he would like try to get to me and hit me. But nothing else happened that day.
But there was no punches thrown, there was no headbutts thrown, there was nothing.
There was nothing. No.
Okay, thank you. I just had drawn. And then also just a question for the officer who took the report. I want to ask him, did he see any bleeding on the guy or anything? Because there was nothing on the guy. There was actually nothing happening at the pool hall. It's just an altercation, talking, and that's it. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, with that, we'll see if there are any questions from the board. Chairman Joyce.
Just a general question, are the cameras working now?
100%. I showed them because you guys might remember about this. We showed and we sent, proved that they were working in the back. This was for the same from the other incident that I showed you guys, and I sent it was that they're working 100%.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
I have to let Officer Pisco answer the question that's been presented. Did you notice any injury to the lip?
Yes, I did observe some injuries to the lip. According to him, he went the next day to East Boston Neighborhood Health Center for treatment. And he alleged that it happened inside the establishment. This report, like I said, was taken at the front desk while I was assigned there.
Yeah, I guess that's all I have. I mean, just more in the way of a comment, that this is why you need to have your video working all the time, because
Oh yeah, we know that. Yes.
say nothing happened, that someone says something did happen, video would be very. Thank you.
It was. Yes.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you, members of the board.
And calling item number 5, Tremont 958 Restaurant Corporation, doing business as Slade's Bar and Grill, located at 958 Tremont Street in Mission Hill. Date of the incident, September 22nd, 2024. Failure to disperse, large crowd at bar let out, and excessive noise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and expired licenses in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.02B. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
The head of security and management, Brittany Papil, myself, and Isaiah Moore.
Thank you. I see Mr. Moore, and I see you as well, Ms. Papil. Thank you. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Castor.
Thank you, Officer Castro. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Yes.
Thank you. Officer Castor, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
About 2:03 a.m. on Sunday, 9/22/24, officers Castor and Wong in the Delta 203 Alpha responded to a radio call for a fight at Slade's Bar and Grill, located at 985 Tremont Street. It should be noted that officers responded to the above address on 9/15/24 for a similar incident. Upon arrival, officers observed a large crowd, estimated to be around 100 patrons, on the sidewalk at the intersection of Tremont and Hammond Street, as well as directly in front of the above establishment. Officers observed multiple double-parked vehicles in front of the establishment on both sides of Tremont Street. Officers requested that patrons leave the area and move their vehicles. It took officers several attempts to get the group moving due to uncooperative patrons. While officers were on the scene, multiple people began screaming at each other and causing a disturbance. All available D4 units assisted on scene due to the large crowd not dispersing even after being instructed to do so multiple times. District D4 units eventually were able to disperse the extremely large group. Due to the large group remaining outside and causing a disturbance to the residential area, failure to disperse promptly and calmly, and Slade's Bar and Grill displaying 2 expired licenses, fire/building permit, the Delta 911 Sergeant Bernazzani conducted a license premise check. License premise violation notice 01031. It should be noted that the owner, Brittany Johnson Papil, was cooperative with officers during the incident. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you very much, Officer Castor. Ms. Papil, Mr. Moore, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Do you want to speak, Zay?
Muted.
He's on mute.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, everybody. So as for the fight did not happen at Slade's Bar and Grill. It was actually across the street. So we did have tons of security guards, 7, well 8, including myself outside, trying to help disperse the crowd from in front. Since we did have, as the officer said, 2 incidents that happened where they were called and they had to come help and move people from the front. We have the precautions that we take now is that we turn the lights on at 1 o'clock now. Everybody, the music stops at 1:15. Everybody's out of the building by 1:30. To try to keep everybody happy. Yeah.
Okay. Anything further about the incident in question, Mr. Moore or Ms. Papil?
No, I think it was a mutual effort where we were really struggling at that moment to disperse as the people, like she said, the group was large outside. And so, I found myself across the street and him and trying to, convince people to go to their vehicles. The police approached. The police were really spread out in a group trying to get people to disperse because of the let out, the weather. People were just wanting to patronize outside the business just to prolong the party. So it really, as far as like security versus individuals, it really we were outnumbered and on a one-off convincing. Like I was having, conversations with people trying to convince them to just walk to their car respectfully.
Thank you. If there is no further testimony, we will see if there are any questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
So how are you going? It sounds like you changed your dispersal policy so that now lights go on earlier.
Yeah, so
Clear for me that people, whether or not everyone is let out at the same time.
say that again.
So this incident report on September 22nd, it sounds like there was 100 people on the street at the same time.
Correct.
You just described now you turn the lights on, music stops, but how do you prevent 100 people, how do you prevent everyone from leaving at the same time?
So we have guys inside and we have guys that's we have security that's inside and security that's helping disperse the front outside. So once the lights come on, we instruct DJs, last 2 songs, and everybody's like gradually leaving. So as we're clearing from in the inside, the security guards that's in the front are also pushing people towards their cars now as well.
We by closing the event an hour earlier, it gives us more time to allow people to just gracefully leave rather than in a rush with 20 to 30 minutes of time to get rid of a large crowd.
And how many security go outside?
So we normally have about 8 guys on, so probably 4 and 4, 4 inside, 4 outside. And I'm doing a little bit of both.
Okay. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions from the board, then the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you all. Those are all the items before the board this morning. That will adjourn this hearing. The board is scheduled to vote on Thursday morning, January 16th at 10 a.m. Notice has been posted to the city's website. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.